for the fire marshal to instruct on evacuation procedures.
In case of an emergency, in the rear there are 3 exit signs. Up in the front there are 2. Go out the exit and just follow the other exit signs to the doors. Thank you very much.
The next order of business is to begin the opening ceremonies. Mr. Spearman, would you like to begin, please?
We'll start with a presentation of colors by Boy Scout Troop 11. Okay, please remain standing, remove your hats, and join me in the Boy Scouts up front, all together, to pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Very good. I think everyone can have a seat if you want.
Can we stand if we want?
Well, the minimum quorum is 15 people for a town of more than 3,000. So I think we've got 15 people here tonight. So I'm going to declare a quorum present. I want to go over the ground rules for the meeting tonight. They're the exact same rules we used last year, with no changes, but I'm going to read them in full. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nicholas Gorham, and I am the moderator for tonight's annual financial town meeting. There is a quorum present. I bring the meeting to order. This meeting is called to act upon the proposed town budget for the 2016-2017 fiscal year. A copy of the budget should be available to each of you. Does everyone have a copy that wants one? Very good. This budget totals $100,319,719, which represents a 3.9% levy increase and a 2.80% residential property tax increase on non-frozen residential property, and a 2.80% commercial property tax increase. If this proposed budget is adopted without changes, the tax rate is estimated to be $21.41 per thousand for residential real estate, $25.80 per thousand for commercial, industrial, and mixed-use real estate, and $21.41 per thousand for tangible personal property. Now, when we do this meeting, we have certain rules and regulations which apply according to our charter and state law. My role tonight is to preside and regulate these proceedings and decide questions of order and declare the votes. This meeting will be conducted according to the following rules. The statutes of the state of Rhode Island and the town charter pertaining to financial town meetings will apply. If you want to make a motion, it must be in writing and signed by you. I will ask you to read the motion to the assembly before handing me the motion. You can use one of the mics right up in the front here. All motions require a second. Only one motion will be allowed at a time, so you can't amend a motion to amend, for example. Once a motion has been made and seconded, I will open the floor for discussion of the motion. Each elector has the right to speak once on each motion. There's a time limit which is displayed right up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You see it's 3 minutes, so keep an eye on the time if you want to get your points made. If you want the floor to make a motion or comment, please come to the front of the auditorium to one of the microphones as I pointed out earlier. I ask that you state your name and address for the record so that your questions and comments can be addressed, and also so that the court reporter can take it down. Please address your initial motion, questions, or comments to me. I will ask that the person in the best position to address your concerns do so, or they may choose to do so themselves. Please keep your remarks, observations, and comments brief and to the point of the motion before the assembly for consideration. There will be a 3-minute limit for remarks, which will be displayed on the screen. Discussions tonight will be concerned with and limited to those items listed on and pertaining to the call of this meeting, specifically the appropriations of monies for the town government, the expenditure of monies for town government, and the imposition of taxes. Voting. Prior to calling for a vote on any question, the moderator shall obtain a count from the canvassers on the number of qualified electors of the town present, and will then call for the vote. While voting is in process, no one will be admitted to the meeting. Thus, if you want to vote, don't leave the chamber until the vote has been taken, because if you leave, you may not be able to get back in before the voting begins, so just keep an eye on that. The vote shall be taken by a standing vote or ballot, provided that the vote must be taken by ballot if a voter shall call for the same and the call is supported by 1/5 of the voters present. So if 20% of the people in the room want a paper ballot, and we take a vote for that, a standing vote, then we get a paper ballot. The decision of the majority of electors present and qualified to vote will be accepted as the decision of this assembly. That's why we take a count before we vote, because if we know the total number of people in the room, then we know what a majority is. And so we just take a yay vote. We don't have to take a nay vote. Regarding paper balloting, as I said before, if one is called for, it must be requested by motion. And then, as I previously explained, the motion must be seconded by at least 20% of the room, of those qualified to vote. And then the Board of Canvassers will conduct a paper ballot. The Board of Canvassers asked me to make one announcement tonight, which is that the deadline, if I get this wrong, tell me. The deadline to disaffiliate is tomorrow, to disaffiliate for the September primary. And they have forms here to do it if you want to do it. So, one last thing. Don't leave until we vote on item J. It's happened before. We have a huge exodus after we adopt the resolutions. But the most important thing we do tonight, depending on who you talk to, is item J. Because item J is where we actually levy the tax upon ourselves. And until that carries by majority, we don't have a completed meeting. So don't leave, stick around until we vote on the levy. All right, so we'll do the counts when we do the votes. Do we have a count right now? Do we have a running count? I just want to establish it for the record, for the quorum. $198. All right. Next on the agenda is the town manager's presentation by Mr. Graham Waters.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Graham Waters. I'm the town manager for the town of Coventry. I am new to the town. I moved up here from Maryland about 4 months ago, and this Thursday is my 4-month anniversary here, and I can't say enough about the town. I love it here. Everybody has been very welcoming, complaints and compliments and everything else in between. The budget that is presented for you tonight is a balanced budget. I came into office right as the budget process was getting into the thick of it, so it was quite a crazy time for me. But without further ado, let's advance the slide to the next. Thank you. All right, so the budget highlights will be presented up on either wall to your left and right. The FY17 Council's recommended budget, which was adopted by Council on May 9th, includes the following major items. It fully funds the school department's FY17 request at $1.2 billion. It's something that the schools and the council work together on, and I think the school board and the town council can both say that they're very proud that the school budget was fully funded this year. The FY17 budget also contains police contractual updates from FY14 to FY17 of $688,000. New debt service for FY17 in the amount of $201,000. Increase in the police pension ARC contribution. The police pension contributions are fully funded this year, 100%. In years past, the town has had problems with that, but due to state law and much hard work by the town council and the town staff and our police department and everybody collaborating together, it's funded 100% and it's secure for the sustainable future, which is a great thing. It reestablishes the associate planner position at $68,000. If you all might know, but right now we had our director of planner, Paul Sprague. He was the only one in the department for a few months. Monday, our new assistant director of planning started, and then assuming this budget gets passed tonight, I will be going out to advertise for our associate planner position. So that will help fully staff our planning department, which is a critical department in the town. Not as visible as our police department or our public works department, but they play a critical behind the scenes role in making sure that the town is well planned for the future. We also use a portion of the fund balance to make supplemental payments into the police and municipal pension funds and capital improvements of $293,000. Part of my budget to the council was using the surplus from the FY15 budget to fund capital. It's critical. A critical portion of the budget is funding capital, and it often gets cut or ignored. So I'm proud to say that the council has adopted the capital budget and capital improvement plan going forward. Next slide, please. Since the council adopted the budget on May 9th, the town has identified an additional car tax that can be collected. This has resulted in a reduction of the proposed property tax rate increase and the proposed commercial tax rate increase from 2.98 to 2.80. So the tax rate increases dropped. Since one thing I'd like to point out is in the manager's budget that's posted on the town website, the manager's budget proposed an increase of 3.15%. So now it is, as of tonight, it's only 2.8%, nearly a drop of a 0.25%. Next slide, all right. What you see up on the walls here, 4 columns, and I'm going to ask our finance director to help explain them a little bit. Column 1 is our FY16 current fiscal year. Column 2 is FY17, this upcoming budget year, with an additional levy without a tax increase as of June 14th. Column 3 is FY17 proposed amount with an additional levy with a tax increase as of June 14th. And then column 4 is the FY17 manager's recommended levy. And Bob Keeble, our finance director, I'll turn it over to you and you can explain more in depth what those 4 columns are, please.
You'll see in the first column, the blue column there, column 1, the total levy for current fiscal year 16 is $67.6 million. And you can see the various tax rates down there on the bottom. Coming into fiscal 17, the tax assessor identified an approximate $1 million of growth that came from various sources. We've had the Anthony Mill and Harris Mill that has increased valuation. We've had general overall increased valuation. Keep in mind, this increase does not include the current full revaluation we're going through right now. That'll impact next year. But the assessor's office identified this additional $1 million of growth. And that brings the levy up, without raising taxes, 1 penny, to $68.69 million. In order to get where we are now, an additional $1.6 million needed to be raised, and that'll be done through increases to the levy. As the manager said, 2.8% proposed on both residential and commercial. And you can see the increases there on the bottom for the residential rates. And the final, the pink column number 4, you'll see that the combination of column 2 and 3, which is the increase in the levy without raising taxes and raising taxes, is $70,303,224, which represents a 3.98% increase to the levy. And when you slide down to the bottom, that translates into a 2.8% increase to the residential, commercial, and tangible tax rates.
And, Cody, can you minimize the clock? There you go. So that's we'll see the total levy increase, as Bob mentioned, is 3.98%. And the residential, commercial, and tangible property tax rate increase is 2.8%. Again, it's lower than what the manager proposed, with the manager's proposed budget. Next slide, please. This slide is new to the town. This is a slide that I've brought with me. I've seen used across the nation. It's a favorite slide of all the residents of their towns, and they like it because it shows the breakdown of your tax dollar. It's a little hard to read with the small print, but what it says is that 62.9% of the tax dollar goes to the school department, 14.8 cents per $1 goes to the police department, 6.4 cents of the dollar goes to the DPW, our public works department, 4.6 cents of every dollar goes to fund the town's debt service, 4.2 cents of every dollar goes to fund the town's general government offices, the administration, tax office, finance office, etc., as well as 2.1 cents of every dollar funds town hall operations. You have 1.3 cents of every dollar funds our parks and rec programs and department, and 1.2 cents of every dollar funds our libraries, with the remaining 2.5 cents per dollar funds everything else in the town. Next slide, please. This was a slide that the previous manager before me loved to use, and a lot of the residents like to look at it because it compares your existing appraisal rates rounded off to the nearest $50,000 for FY16, which is this current fiscal year, to what the new budget will be beginning July 1st. You'll see that if your house is valued at $150,000 for this fiscal year, FY16, you're paying approximately $3,123.75, and the upcoming year you'll be paying $3,211.20, an approximate increase of $87.45 per year, or again, you'll see down at the bottom of the 2.8% increase. So if you have more than a $400,000 valued home, I'm sorry I do not have those numbers for you, but I'm sure you can call the tax office or look on your tax bill and take a good guess at it. So, next slide, please. All right, this is a comprehensive list of everything that is new in the budget as far as major items. A few of the items include the funding of all-day kindergarten. Again, I apologize about the small print, but if you can't see it, we can have a paper copy given to you at another time. But some of the major items include funding of all-day kindergarten at $600,000, the school department's contractual obligations at $600,000, police department contract updates, again, $688,000. I mentioned that on the first slide. New debt service, also mentioned on the first slide, the ARC payment at $90,000. Reestablishing the planner position, additional budget for the cost of electricity increasing from FY16 to 17, road and bridge projects for our Department of Public Works at $63,000. Making an additional payment for the town street sweeper at $42,000. As you can see further down, the addition of part-time police officers, part-time police dispatcher, a proposed part-time emergency management director, which is important for the town to have in case a hurricane or tornado or some other natural or man-made disaster comes in. We have a central person to coordinate that response. And then you'll see under the last two line items are professional services increasing due to the fire department dispatch contract and contract that the town has with the Johnson's Pond Association. And then as well as a new police officer funded as part of the COPS grant, which is a federal grant that the town has applied for in the past. It funds 75% of the salary of a new police officer. It's something that is very beneficial for the town, and we are happy to apply for it. Again, this upcoming year, it doesn't mean that we will receive the grants, but we've budgeted for it. Next slide, please. As of May 9th, the town of Coventry, the town council has recommended the following capital items when they adopted the budget. These are just the major items as part of the capital budget. Again, at the beginning, first slide, I mentioned that the town had a surplus from last fiscal year, fiscal year 15, of $298,000. Of that $298,000, $219,000 is going to fund the capital budget, and those projects are laid out there with the Department of Parks and Recreation, Briarwood Gate, fuel dispenser device for the Department of Public Works. Police department is having restrooms installed as well as purchasing vehicles. The Department of Public Works is having a fleet management solution put in, and Parks and Rec is having a roof replacement at the Foster Park. That is it for the capital items. Next slide, please. That is it for the town's budget. I will turn it back over to the moderator.
We hear from the superintendent, who is still Mr. Convery for another 17 days? 12 days, all right. It's got a number. No. Let me get this.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to present the school department's budget request for the 16-17 school year. First. This is a budget summary presented to the town council earlier this year. I realize this is hard to see. This full presentation is also on our school website, coventryschools.net, and has been since April 28th. Next slide, please. This is the top right-hand corner of that sheet you just saw. The current school year is in blue on the far left and shows the total expenditures for this school year of $66,050,000. The center column shows our projected budget figures for the 16-17 school year, and the third column on the right that's circled shows the net increase of $2,392,500 from this year to next year. What we're about to present are the cost centers that led to this amount and what our request to the town is. The budget has three main areas of increase. Coventry will be offering full-day kindergarten to all age-eligible students beginning in August of 2016. The increased cost for full-day kindergarten is $1,267,661 a year. And we'll show a breakdown of what led to that cost centers in a minute. We're also entering into the third year of the teacher contract and the third year of our support staff contract. That's the second series of three lines. That total is approximately $658,000. And the final group of lines, we have a cost reduction at the middle school because of enrollment. We have less students attending the middle school next year. We were able to reduce 2 full-time teacher equivalents to save $150,000. And the other costs in those two lines are for increased health care, pension, etc. Those three numbers minus the staff reduction at the middle school bring the total net increase to $2,392,500. Next slide, please. On the revenue side, we're expecting $844,788 in anticipated state aid under the funding formula and an additional $481,000 for our current half-day students next year when they become full-day kindergarten students. This is a total of $1,325,788 from the state, and this would continue as an annual payment. We also realized an increase in Medicare billing this year through improved collections, an increase of $25,000 over last year. We did have a tuition decrease at our Career and Technical Center by approximately 8 students, totaling $110,000. And we have approximately $49,000 less to use in a surplus than we had last year. All of that together gives us a total revenue increase of $1,190,914 over last year. So the total increase from the previous slide, minus the increase in revenue, leaves us seeking 1.2 million, just over 1.2 million from the town. It's important to note that due to some anticipated costs being less than projected in December and the staff reductions, this is a decrease from the 1.4 million originally presented to the school committee in December. We also had projected a one-time cost for $90,000 in capital improvements for startup for all-day K. But due to the budget surplus that we are experiencing and a cost reduction of the modular classroom that's going to be needed at Hopkins Hill School, we no longer need that one-time $90,000. Next slide, please. This is a graphic representation of this year's budget. You can see the salaries that are in blue, and benefits make up the greatest portion of the budget, and that was also reflected in Mr. Graham's dollar that you saw a minute ago. This is certainly not unique to Coventry. The school department is the largest department in the town. We serve just under 5,000 students. We employ over 700 people, full and part-time, and an additional 175 substitutes and non-union personnel are utilized throughout the year. Next slide, please. This is a projection for next year with the increases that I mentioned are included. Just some statistics about Coventry. These are 2012-13 numbers. Our per pupil spending in Coventry is $1 less than $14,000 per student. That's the 32nd lowest out of 36 districts in the state. That breaks down to several areas. Instruction, direct instruction, we are 15th out of 36. Instructional support, which would be teacher interventionists and extra support services for students, we are 36th out of 36. Operations, which would be maintenance of our buildings and cleanliness, we're 29th out of 36. And leadership, administrative salaries, etc., we're 26th out of 36 districts. Also interesting to note, since 2000, students in Coventry of school age, in the year 2000, 6% were at the federal poverty level. In 2013, that's doubled to 12%. Our enrollment projection, through everything that we've been able to find by 2024, is going to be a net reduction of 4.3% over the next 8 years. And our students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch across the district has increased. It's currently at 33%, with 3 of our elementary schools at 40% or more. This is a breakdown of that 1.2 million. What this does for all-day K, we'll be adding 8.5 kindergarten teachers for a total of 16 kindergarten classrooms. The staffing figures have not changed since this projection was originally put together over 18 months ago. It's important to note that these increases do not bring back any items that were previously cut in years past, and it does include 1 staff position in the anticipation of keeping the junior ROTC program with Navy support. We still have not heard. We expect to hear any day. We'll be adding 3.5 itinerant teachers, that's music, art, PE, media specialists to support the new all-day kindergarten classroom. A teacher assistant will be in every classroom, and there'll be one supervisory assistant in each building to help out with recess and lunch duty and bus duty. Next slide, please. In August, we anticipate opening with 340 full-day kindergarten students. That's going to be a class size of approximately 21.25. The cap is 23. Each elementary school will have full-day kindergarten in the buildings proper. Each kindergarten classroom will have a teacher assistant, as I mentioned, and a supervisory assistant. Only one school needs additional construction, and that construction is being provided by a modular classroom that has already been ordered with startup funds from RIDE, and that's anticipated to be ready for occupation by August 1st at the latest. For those of you that know the Hopkins Hill campus, it's going to be directly or close to what is called the annex building now on the right side of the building. Advantages of the Coventry model. All students will be able to attend their neighborhood school in grades K-5. The enrollment trends, because of that reduction that I mentioned, we do not anticipate needing any new building projects through 2024 if the enrollment numbers hold true. And this model has the full support of all stakeholders, including building principals who helped design it. Next slide, please. Limited construction is required. Coventry school personnel can take care of any and all moving and other construction costs that may need to be done. The model does provide a media center, dedicated library space in each elementary school. This time last year, there was talk that the media centers will be going away. That is not true. And the model does provide art, music, phys ed, library instruction to all elementary students. We really hope and thank the council for their support and the new manager's support, and we hope the public supports this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Convery. The next item on tonight's agenda is for the town clerk to read the warrant.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the warrant.
Is there a second? Okay,
I'll second.
I think we have to take a vote on that. So, by charter, all votes have to be standing or by ballot. So why don't we take a quick standing vote? I'm going to declare the ayes have it.
By a nose.
All right, so we'll dispense with the reading of the warrant, which then brings us to the budget resolutions. So I'm on, for purposes of where if you want to follow along, we're on item G of the agenda. All right, so what we're going to do is, there are 4 sections. We're going to vote on each section separately. So the first section, of course, is the school department. Second section is federal and state aid. Third section, state aid. Excuse me. I'm sorry, section 2 is appropriated from tax revenues, federal and state aid, and other revenues. The third section, I'm just reading each section here, is from tax revenues, interest earnings, and state aid. And then the fourth section, received for general fund purposes from state grants, state and federal grants for the capital improvement program. So, who would like to make a motion on section 1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Oh, 1 second.
All right, is there any discussion? Does anyone want to comment on this? Everyone has the right to speak. $68,442,965. No comment. All right. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I know I'm short.
Hi.
Can I get a name, please? My name is Janice Stenson. I live at 670 Naughty Oak Road. I'm a new resident here in Coventry, so this is all a new learning curve here. It's more like a general, it has to do with this, but with everything, with the presentation by the school superintendent and the town manager. Being a new person here and not having experienced this before, it would have been helpful if we could have seen anything that was up there so we can actually understand what it is that you have there. I see that all of you up there have colored copies of what we can't read up here. So that was I feel like that was kind of disrespectful to all the citizens here, all the residents here that are trying to understand what you're talking about. Firstly. And I did write everything down like you said. I listened to instructions. And that's it on this one, actually. I'll wait till later on. But thank
Okay.
you.
All right, sorry you had trouble reading it, but I think
I'm
people
the
are
only one.
listening. Excuse me?
I don't think I'm the only one.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments?
Hi, Joy Martin, 17 Driftwood Drive.
Yeah.
I apologize, I didn't go to any of the school committee meetings, but I'm looking at, the slide deck, and you got 8.5 kindergarten teachers and 3.5 intern teachers. It comes to like $86,292 per teacher. That seems to me like a lot of money. I don't know how they're being hired or what step they're at, but I'm sure, does that include benefits?
Would you like someone to, okay.
I can answer that. We average, or we try to average, approximately at step 3, and that price that you just mentioned includes benefits. So that is approximately correct.
Okay, so how much is salary and how much is benefits?
Approximately 45 to 50,000 in salary, and the remainder is benefits.
Okay. And you start each new teacher at step 3, or the 2 teachers that were not, that were let go, are they becoming kindergarten teachers? At the middle school, you said there were 2 staff positions that you eliminated.
Correct. Right. Those positions will not be filled next year.
Okay, so the kindergarten and the other certified, the 3.5, that's all new hire?
Either new hire or people who have transferred in the district from where they were to those positions. That's possible also. And then their positions will be filled.
Okay, and then when they get filled, they're at the step 1?
We try to average, there's a 10-step level that we have. We try to average hiring at step 3.
And why is that?
We try to keep the cost down. If we could get good qualified people at step 1, that would be ideal. It's not always possible.
Okay, so if you get someone out of college, then that wouldn't be someone ideal?
It could be, depends on their qualifications and their interview. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Judy Liner, 20th Drive. First of all, Liner, L-I-N-E-R. I would like to thank and commend you for working together. I think it's awesome. And I would like to encourage everybody to support this budget. All-day kindergarten is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liner. Are there any other comments,
Excuse me,
questions?
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Sorry, can I just ask that maybe it's a bit confusing as to exactly where we are in the agenda that we're discussing the school budget.
Sure. All right, where we are on the agenda is we're at item G, section 1. And if you want a detailed delineation of what we're going to do, it's on page 7, section 1, the actual motion, which is, I'll read it so everyone knows what it says. The motion that is on the floor right now is that not more than $43,857,323 be appropriated from tax revenues for the operation of the school department. These funds shall supplement state aid to education, grants, and other school revenues to provide a total operating budget of $68,442,965. That's what we've been talking about, and that's what you're going to vote on when I call for a vote, which I will do unless there is further comment. And if anyone else has further comment, you're more than welcome to come forward. Just come forward to the microphone up in the front here. All right. Before I call for a vote, can I get a count from the Board of Canvassers, please?
226 votes.
Can you say that again?
226.
226 in attendance. All right. If you vote yes, you're voting to approve item G, section 1, which I just read. So if you approve, please stand. I don't think there's any doubt in this room. Unless there's objection, I'm gonna say that I can declare the vote based on what I can see. Is there any objection to that? I declare that the motion carries. We're going to do section 2, and I'm going to read this one for the record as well. I know I reviewed them briefly, but I want to read them, each one of them, before we vote on them. So now we're going to vote on section G, item G, section 2, that not more than $27,060,029 be appropriated from tax revenues, federal and state aid, and other revenues for the operation of the municipal government as set forth in Exhibit A, which is attached. Does anyone want to speak about this or comment on it? We need a motion first, thank you. Is there a second? I heard several seconds. I heard one from Mr. Smith, so we'll, all right. Now we're open for discussion. Does anyone want to talk about item G, section 2? Yes.
Hi, Deborah Bacon, 16 Catawba Way. In Rhode Island, there are 39 municipalities. Currently, all but 7 Rhode Island cities and towns record and post their unedited audio and video of town meetings on the internet, including West Warwick and Central Falls. Coventry is one of the 7 that does not provide this service to their residents. If Central Falls and West Warwick can make this service a priority in their budget, why do 3 of our town council members feel that this service is not a priority for the residents of Coventry? Not providing this service to the residents of Coventry is embarrassing, and it impedes our right of open and transparent government. Mr. Moderator, at this time, I would like to make a motion to increase the data processing in the 2016-17 fiscal year operating budget by $30,000 to fund the purchase of a meeting management system such as Clerkbase to record and post on the internet all town council, zoning, planning, and school department public meetings. Thank you.
Do you have the motion in writing?
Yes.
Okay. Can you bring it forward, please?
Sure.
Mr. Monaco?
Okay, I have the motion, and the reason that I discussed with the treasurer wanted to discuss it with me, excuse me, the finance director, Mr. Thibault, is he has indicated that if the motion carries, it would exceed the maximum levy, which is permissible at the financial town meeting, but it could be rejected by, I believe it's the Department of Municipal Affairs, Division of.
Yes,
The state will,
the state has the right to weigh in on any increase of the maximum.
right, and for what it's worth, Ms. Bacon, just if the motion were for 15,000, that would be unnecessary, because we are 15,000 below the cap, according to the finance director. It's just something that I thought would be helpful to you in the motion. If you want to change the motion, you can still change it. I'm perfectly happy to present it as submitted.
Do you want me to change it to 15?
It's up to you.
Yes. Yes.
It's a judgment call on your part.
15.
15? Okay, why don't you?
Do I need to?
Yeah, why don't you just initial it?
Okay.
Just so we have it. Very good. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna reread the motion just so we're all on the same page. I would like to make a motion to increase account number 1-101-1-225-2150, that's data processing. That's a line item in the budget, excuse me, in the 2016-2017 fiscal year operating budget by $15,000 to fund the purchase of a meeting management system such as Clerkbase to record and post on the internet all town council, zoning, planning, and school department public meetings. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second, so the motion to amend item G, section 2 is now properly before the body. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to point out for the audience, up on the screens, you'll see a real-time calculator. As motions are made, you'll see what the budget impacts are. And Bob, could you explain the calculator a little bit, please?
Basically, any motions that is made to increase or decrease the budget, we add it to the calculator down where the attendant is circling it with his mouse. And if he can cursor over to the right, you'll see the impact of the 15,000. It changes the tax rate from 2.80 to 2.819, I believe, and it brings the levy back up to 4%, which is the maximum allowable by state law.
All right, so now that we've had a real-time explanation of the impact of this amendment, does anyone else want to speak to the merits of the amendment?
Thank you. Lisa Tomaso, 40 York Drive. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, members of the school committee, members of the town council, ladies and gentlemen of the town of Coventry. I would highly encourage you to support this amendment. Access to transparent and accountable government is very important. In particular, we just heard about the poverty level that we have in the town of Coventry. What that indicates to me is that we have a lot of working people in the town of Coventry. Working people cannot necessarily get to a meeting that's at 6 or 7 o'clock at night because they are working double and split shifts. It's extremely important that if we are not going to conduct our business in secrecy, that we have the technology that's available to us, that we would provide that opportunity for the town to fund it and allow people who are homebound, who may not be able to get to a meeting, as well as working families who are out trying to earn a living and put food on the table and ensure that their children are able to lead successful lives. So thank you very much. I hope that you do support this amendment.
Ms. Tomaso, you did that in precisely 1 minute, which is very impressive. Are there any other comments or questions on this amendment? Does everyone understand the amendment? Does anyone have a question to me about the amendment? Mr. DePadua, could you come forward, please?
Can I say it loud enough so the kid all inside don't have to walk on it?
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Listen, I'm kind of glad I see some gray hairs like me. What happens,
Hold on, name and address for the record so the stenographer can
Robert
write.
A. DePadua, 62 Laurel Avenue in the great town of Coventry. I'm not opposed to this, but I am going to ask through the chair, through the moderator, is this going to be on television for some of us gray hairs that don't do the internet stuff? Because if it should, well, I know you laugh, but some of us old timers really are the ones who go to the meetings and stuff. I like, if I can't go on a snowy night, I'd like to see it on TV. Is there any way to get this on TV? Again, I am not opposed to this at all. It's just that can you ask that Bacon if it can be televised?
The town would have to most likely contract with Cox or Verizon to broadcast through their cable access channels. I'm not sure if the agreement that the cable companies have with the state of Rhode Island allow for municipal governments to broadcast through government access channels. So that would be the only way, unless there's something I'm not aware of, Ed.
We wouldn't be able to broadcast them live, but we could do the tape down to them, and they will put us on the schedule. There are still meetings that are done on it, but they're on a rotating basis, and they are not live, but they would be available at different times.
For the record, that was Mr. Edward Morzika, the media. I'm sorry, I can't.
He's town staff.
Town staff, thank you. I know what you do, I've never known your title.
Okay, so just to repeat that back, the town can record the meetings, send the meetings to Cox and Verizon, and they will rebroadcast on a delayed schedule the town meetings. So it would not be live television broadcast.
Any other comments on the merits? Any questions?
Mr. Moderator, are we supposed to have the door closed when the vote is taken place?
Are the doors closed? I can't.
They are not.
Okay. Well, we haven't taken a vote yet. I am going to take a count. As soon as we close the doors.
The count has not changed since the last vote.
Which is what?
226 votes.
Thank you. All right. No further. Oh, excuse me. Councilmember McGee would like to speak on the amendment?
Yes, I will. I just want to let you know that this council, or myself especially, are not against videotaping of the meetings. What I am against is council members going up to an IT director and telling them to hire Cliff Bass and spend $30,000 the way it was presented to us. I think it needs to be looked into to find the most effective, most cost-effective way. Maybe it's not click-based, but I think we should be getting the most for our money, and it's not to hire one particular company. Absolutely, $15,000 is not a lot of money to have our meetings videoed, but it's just not. The procedure was not right. We're asking for a 3% increase. The timing's bad. The timing's real bad. It was presented to us as $30,000. Like I said, this council is not against transparency. I think we do a good job of being transparent. We're just asking a lot of the taxpayers at this time, and I think the timing is wrong. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Member McGee. Does anyone else want to comment? Sure, Councilmember Lavoisier would like to comment.
Okay, and the reason I'm commenting, again, to reiterate Mr. McGee, there's nobody on the council that okay, now I got it, thanks. Nobody's against videotaping. You can look up on YouTube and see that they were being videotaped now. The questions that we had were that, again, for the $30,000 cost, we found that our neighboring town, and that's $30,000 annually, our neighboring town, West Greenwich, does it for $800. And if it's just as easy to say, it's only another $30,000, let's throw it in the budget. That's one of the reasons that 3 of us voted against it, that we can find an alternative to doing it this way. And it seems to be purported that we're not having an open government here. We certainly do. It's just not being videotaped by us at this point.
Thank you, Councilmember Lavoisier. Is there a request?
Mr. Moderator, I would like to ask Mr. Wazika to clarify the process with regard to that dollar amount, because I think the $30,000 was initially in there and then it was reduced to a different amount. And I do not think that the full $30,000 was annually. I think that also included some setup. So Mr. Wazika, would you please clarify?
Yes, ma'am. What we were looking to put into the budget was $30,000 the first year. Out of that, and I only acquired one quote just to get a ballpark number on where we were looking. Clerk base is $22,000 a year annually. That includes $12,000 for the town council meetings to be up on the website as well as the live broadcast. $5,400 annually for the school department meetings, and $1,400 annually for each of the other 3 that we were going to do, the planning, zoning, as well as the community, council of the advisory board thing. So it was $22,000 for that. $8,000 out of the original $30,000 was to buy equipment that would be necessary to do it appropriately and not, like we're streaming this right now into the other room for the overflow crowd. The video quality is, it's not what we, it can be done. Can we do it? Can we put it up on the web with what we've got at a probably no additional cost? Yes. Is it going to be simple to use? I've checked it at West Greenwich, and no offense, sir, but all they do is the school comes in, they video it, and they throw it out there. If that's all we want, we can do that as well. We can do that. What Clerk-Based and the other programs do is they link that to the entire meeting. So if a person is looking for information on one of the items that came up, they instantly click on that, goes to the video, they view it all. So it's a much better program for search, research, and those kinds of things if somebody doesn't want to sit and watch a 2.5-hour meeting. That's what the difference between the $800 the way they do it and the $2,200 a year that it will cost to do it. Please? 1,000. Yes, 22,000 a year for that. And that's only one. We did not look at other systems. I was just getting a ballpark. There are several other companies that do this process. It may even be cheaper with some of the other ones. Clerk-Based just happened to be the one there that's used the most in the state. That's why I got the quote from them. But that doesn't guarantee that's going to be the final number or by any means the final company that we would go with if we went with this, if the money's in the budget.
So I wanted to just clarify then, this was not that we were particularly choosing one company or another. We were using them as a benchmark to put some costing in there, and you were not directed to go to a particular company. We were directed to
No, ma'am.
look into it. Thank you, Mr. Wazika.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moderator, if I may.